Sabah al-Ful, Cairo. A simple greeting that evokes memories of tradition and warmth, echoing the significance of the Arabian jasmine, or al-Ful in Arabic, to my heart. As the scent of ful permeates our mornings, I'm reminded of the timeless beauty and resilience of Al-Qahira. As I stand here before you today, it is with immense gratitude that I extend my thanks to the organizers of this event, specifically Professor Shireen Hussain, colleagues at MENARHA, IAGG, the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and of course our host, the American University of Cairo, celebrating 100 years of dedication to higher learning. Our discussions yesterday showed just how relevant long-term care is to the MENA region. People are living longer lives, and both the share and the number of older persons in the total population are growing, and they are growing fast. It also showed that long-term care is a cross-cutting issue. It is relevant to development agendas on health, on social protection, gender equality, economic development, but also on the advancement of human rights of older persons. This is why this joint symposium is so important. It provides a focused debate that has been largely absent in the region, and I would like to bring the human rights perspective to this discussion. While this may seem as a conceptual exercise, governments from around the world will meet at the United Nations General Assembly in May to discuss how best to promote and protect the human rights of older persons, including in long-term care. Here is what we know. This is not just about care. It is about support services too. What is the primary goal of the provision of long-term care? It is to ensure the enjoyment by older persons of the right to autonomy and independence. Autonomy, which in Arabic is al-istiqlaliyya, is the right to have control over one's life and to make one's own decisions and to have those decisions respected. Independence, which is al-qudra ala al-tasyir al-dhati, is the ability of a person to perform functions related to daily living, to be able to carry out one's decisions in practice, and to be able to remain fully integrated in society and community life. The two terms are linked in a number of recent binding international instruments, such as the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities that Dr. Tariq Nabulsi referred to yesterday. While autonomy and independence are closely related concepts, there are nonetheless differences between them. How do we achieve the primary goal of long-term care? By providing older persons with the support that they need, which is the right to enjoy the conditions that make it possible for them to carry out their daily lives, and that is their decisions and to have those decisions respected in accordance with their will and with their preferences. The Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging emphasized the importance of respecting the rights and dignity of older persons. It includes a standalone objective calling upon governments to involve older persons themselves in the development and strengthening of long-term care services. At DESA, the department where I work, we refer to this as long-term care and support, and here's why. The word care is important. In many countries, family caregivers serve as a major source of care for older persons who are no longer able to live independently. The dedication and the commitment of the family often ensures that their loved ones receive personalized attention and emotional support, contributing to their overall well-being. However, this practice places a heavy burden on women, including older women who provide care themselves. And women are disproportionately shouldering the caregiving responsibilities. Many female caregivers are unpaid, sacrificing their own education, career opportunities, and financial security, which can jeopardize their own well-being and prospects as they grow further in age. A substantial group of older persons receive no family care whatsoever, leaving them vulnerable and isolated. In some cases, unorganized and unregulated domestic workers may fill the gap, but this can lead to issues of exploitation and inadequate care. Inadequacies in family care often arise in contexts of poverty, where limited resources strain caregiving capacities. Changing norms and social trends may weaken extended family solidarity, further compromising the care for older persons. The lack of caregiving knowledge and skills among family members can also compromise care practices and outcomes. Without access to training and resources, caregivers may struggle to meet the complex needs of older persons, leading to gaps in care provision. We are also unclear whether older persons are fully included in decision-making regarding their own care. I have encountered many from around the world who prefer to maintain their own living arrangements, which better suit their needs and their preferences, instead of residing with family members to receive care. The second point is that the word support services is also important. The Madrid International Plan of Action on Aging was the first document to link aging to the development and human rights frameworks. The term care on its own may carry connotations of perceived dependence and vulnerability. This framing may unintentionally reinforce assumptions about the individual's agency, overlooking the older person's inherent dignity and rights to autonomy, to self-determination, and to inclusion. By adding the term support, we frame vulnerability as an experience rather than an inherent characteristic. And this approach highlights the importance of addressing the underlying factors or barriers that contribute to the vulnerability experienced by the older person. Different countries exhibit diverse long-term care ecosystems. While some heavily rely on familial support and informal caregiving networks, where organized long-term care provisions are patchy and dominated by charitable or by private for-profit services, others have developed comprehensive policies and institutions to address long-term care needs. In these later contexts, governments, regulations, and funding significantly shape those systems, with a greater emphasis on professionalized care rather than solely relying on family support. Nevertheless, common threads exist, including recognizing the variety of services, of providers, of funding sources, as well as the central role that family plays in legislation and policies, and a commitment to aging in place, and an acknowledgement of the accelerating need for long-term care policy. A recent survey undertaken by our colleagues at WHO, and some will be joining us today, they surveyed 110 countries, and this survey was conducted in both 2020 and in 2022. It revealed that the percentage of countries with a national policy to support long-term care for older persons increased from 67% in 2020 to 78% in 2022, highlighting the growing recognition of the importance of long-term care policies globally. So from a human rights perspective, we see that there are obligations by the states. These are various elements that have been discussed by governments at the General Assembly that would oblige states to take measures. Some of the general measures include to establish legal and policy frameworks that guarantee the right of older persons to access all appropriate forms of long-term care and support, to make available and accessible to older persons an affordable range of care and support services, to ensure older persons have access to information about the available care and support services, to ensure older persons have choice and control over the planning, delivering, and monitoring of their care and support, to ensure older persons have the right to make legally binding documents on the type of care and support they would like and who provides that, should it be required at a future point in time. And the obligation to ensure that older persons have the right to designate one or more trusted person to assist them to make decisions based on their instructions. Some obligations relate to establishing, monitoring, and enforcing standards. For example, to establish, monitor, and enforce accreditation and quality standards of care and support provided in all settings by both state actors and the private enterprises, including non-governmental organizations. And the obligation to ensure that all care and support services providers, including family members, receive education, training, supervision, and support, including respite, and are subject to law, policies, and procedures to protect older persons from violence, abuse, and neglect. And here I'd like to acknowledge the efforts of the government of Egypt, who I understand last month issued a law on the rights of older persons with a new segment on protection from violence and abuse. Other obligations related to redress in the discussions in the General Assembly. For example, to ensure older persons have access to effective dispute resolution, complaint mechanisms, and administrative and/or judicial processes to seek redress for practices that restrict their liberty and autonomy and do not respect their will and preferences, or in situations where violations occur. If I may, I would like to present my concluding remarks in Arabic. تفيد جميع شهادات كبار السن وآراء المنظمات التي تمثلهم والتقييمات التي أجراها خبراء دوليون ووطنيون إلى أن تجزؤ القواعد والإجراءات القائمة من الناحيتين المفاهيمية والعملية أديا إلى فشل عام في الاعتراف على النحو اللازم بحقوق الإنسان لكبار السن على الصعيد الدولي وتوفير الحماية الكافية لهذه الحقوق مقارنة بالفئات الأخرى. وعلى الرغم من التطورات الهامة التي شهدتها عملية وضع المعايير وتطويرها على مدى العقد الماضي، يوفر الإطار الدولي الحالي تغطية مجزأة أو غير متسقة لحقوق الإنسان لكبار السن في القانون والممارسة. فالحماية التي يوفرها الإطار الحالي والمعايير الحالية إما منقوصة إلى حد كبير أو عامة جداً، بحيث لا يمكن أن توفر توجيهاً كافياً ومحدداً للحكومات وواضعي السياسات بشأن الإجراءات اللازمة لضمان إعمال حقوق إنسانية خاصة بكبار السن، وللوفاء بالوعد بضمان تمتع جميع الأشخاص بمن فيهم جميع كبار السن تمتعاً كاملاً بحقوق الإنسان والحريات الأساسية. من الضروري التحرك بسرعة نحو وضع واعتماد إطار متماسك وشامل ومتكامل لحقوق الإنسان يعكس فهماً مستكملاً ودقيقاً للتركيب الاجتماعي للشيخوخة وطبيعة ونطاق التحيز ضد المسنين يلي هو الأيجزم والتميز على أساس السن age-based discrimination وتجارب مجموعات متنوعة من كبار السن. I hope this is helpful for today's discussion, and I thank you for your attention.